I want to bring in right now David Wohl. He is political analyst and Donald Trump supporter. Richard Fowler, a radio talk show host and Democratic strategist. Harlan Hill joining us. Gentlemen, good to see everybody. Thanks so much for joining the conversation.
Good to see you, Maria.
Good to be here, Maria.
David, let me kick it off with you. Your reaction to the speeches last night.
I thought it was rather amazing. I mean, was fortunate enough to be able to sit in Mr. Trump's suite that was designated for his family. Very honored to do that. And watched many of them. And I do think it was Melania's speech, while they are saying it was somewhat derivative to Michelle Obama's. I do think that it was powerful. It was amazing. It was suited to her background and to her husband's plans for the future. And it was just met with unbelievable applause and excitement. So the fact is, I don't think anybody at the time considered that it had anything to do with Michelle Obama. It was her. It was tailored to her family. And it was amazing. And
Senator
amazing.
Scott Brown, she's got her own story to tell. Born in Slovenia, gone through the immigration process legally.
Amen. Listen, a dynamic, beautiful, intelligent woman, obviously has the support of her husband and family. She is a great asset to the Trump team. With regard to the speech, if in fact, what I anticipate happened, because I've written many speeches and have spoken many times, you sit down and you put down your thoughts and then you give it to folks to actually maybe fine-tune it a little bit. And if somebody inserted, similarities and they did not catch that, then they should actually come forward, and that person, with respect, should be fired, because to take away from a wonderful, beautiful speech, a perfect night, I thought, and now have it be, we're talking about this is really unacceptable. It's an unforced error, and you don't need it.
Richard Fowler, how do you see it?
Good morning, Maria. I got to tell you, I think as any good speechwriter will tell you, and I do quite a bit of speechwriting, is that, most things are stolen or borrowed. So, unfortunately for Melania, the speechwriters here probably borrowed some stuff for the First Lady, and they figured it out. The American people figured it out. But it doesn't take away from her story. But I think what's interesting is, from Melania's heartfelt story to the juxtaposition of this sort of barn burner speech from Rudy Giuliani that really sort of spewed hate and spewed division, it was a very, 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 what I would call mutually exclusive convention last night. We'll see what happens tonight, though.
Harlan Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo Scott Brown there. I mean, it was another unforced error from the Trump campaign. I mean, and it took away from Melania. She did a fantastic job. She was eloquent. I mean, very persuasive. I think she's a great surrogate for Trump. Meanwhile, the traditional media is going to be talking about how she may have lifted parts of a paragraph, while, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's spouse, is a serial sexual predator. So it's just really funny what the traditional media decides to focus on. Maybe she lifted a couple of lines, but, Bill Clinton's aggressions are far worse.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's all relative.
I'm not sure how we get from I'm not sure how we get from a convention speech to Bill Clinton in the 1990s. That seems to be a bit of a stretch at best.
No, it's not. It's not a stretch. It's not a stretch at all.
Stretch.
The reason that I'm bringing it up is because I found it
talking about Melania's speech and lifting paragraphs from the First Lady's speech a couple of years ago to Bill Clinton and his private life in 1998.
It was so offensive last night. The immediate response from the traditional media all over Twitter and on the mainstream media on TV, that was all they were talking about, and they took away this great moment from her.
That's insane.
And it's not her fault. It's the campaign's fault. Whoever wrote this speech.
It is the campaign's fault.
But it is so telling what they decide to focus on. It's so telling what they decide to focus on.
The campaign reflects the candidate, sir.
They're talking about a paragraph within this large speech.
Number one, the campaign reflects the candidate. Number two, people want the Trump campaign wants America to forget all of Trump's indiscretions, being the king of debt, Trump University. They want the media to forget that. But you're bringing up something that happened with Bill Clinton in 1997. That's insane.
Well, that presumes that it stopped in 1997, which I don't think anybody believes. I'm just contrasting the two spouses here.
Hillary Clinton's running for president, and when you're running for president, the same, Donald Trump as well, everything's on the table. And so it's, look, frankly, I don't think it took away from her speech. Ed Rensi, your thoughts?
I don't choose to fix blame. I choose to fix problems. And she's a role model. She handled that speech with great elegance and decorum. She is an immigrant that came here legally. She worked hard. She succeeded. She's going to be a great First Lady, and all this peripheral nonsense should be forgotten. She did a great job and says to me, I want her as my First Lady.